What is up, Bears fans? Welcome to the Bears Huddle podcast with me, your host, Owen James, the channel that brings you your UK take on all things Chicago Bears, guys. You know what? We've actually got some good news on the coaching front. All the talk has been of people leaving, hasn't it? It's been about this player go, this coach going, this coach leaving, this coach leaving. You know, the brain drain has begun. Now, Ben Johnson has always said that he would never stand in the way of his coaches leaving, that he would always help them progress and help them achieve, probably what they want to in the game. Ben is obviously very supportive of the coaches and very supportive of his staff. He talked obviously as well about the fact that, in year one, it was unusual to have a 5-star staff. But I think, Ben sort of kind of said that he did have what he kind of saw as a 5-star staff this past NFL season. And you've got to say that, the staff this year have done a phenomenal job with these Bears, in terms of turning this franchise around, in terms of making this franchise a success. The likes of Eric Bieniemy, the likes of Al Harris, who, are the top candidates at the moment to move on, have been just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But look, there was talk of Declan Doyle, the OC, making a supposed kind of lateral sideways movement to the Philadelphia Eagles to replace their sacked offensive coordinator. Now, the people might say, well, why does he want to leave? Why does he want to move sideways? Why would Ben Johnson allow Declan Doyle to move sideways, to effectively, not actually get promoted, to move, in a kind of lateral motion? Well, it was, I think, more because the fact that at the Philadelphia Eagles, there's a good chance Declan Doyle would have play calling duties. Declan Doyle does not have the offensive play calling duties for the Chicago Bears. We know those reside with one of the top NFL offensive play callers, our head coach, Ben Johnson. So it was felt that, that this would be a real interest for Declan Doyle. Now, news today has come out that Declan Doyle, where is Declan Doyle here, has now withdrawn from the process. This is reported here per a number of reliable NFL sources. Bears OC Declan Doyle, who had drawn interest from the vacant Eagles OC role, has officially informed the Eagles that he is withdrawing from the interview process per DM Rossini. He will remain in Chicago. Now, that's not to say, obviously, that if further on in this off-season process, if one of the newly appointed head coaches suddenly come up with a really attractive option and a really attractive salary, that he's not going to take that option, that could happen. But it looks very much like Declan wants to remain in Chicago. Declan Doyle is a guy who is one of the talents. He is an up-and-coming offensive talent. This is a guy who started off learning from Sean Payton, one of the top offensive minds in the NFL. He now, of course, works with one of the other top offensive play callers, a guy who I think he's going to end up being talked about in the same kind of stratosphere as the Kyle Shanahan, the Sean McVays of this world in our head coach Ben Johnson. Ben is widely regarded as one of the top offensive minds in the NFL, and we can only see, you've seen obviously that Kyle Shanahan, that Sean McVay, their coaching trees have sprouted and have obviously provided a lot of head coaches, offensive coordinators, etc., around the NFL, and it's felt that Ben Johnson's coaching tree will sprout in very much the same way. Now, Declan Doyle, like I said, is seen as being one of the most promising young offensive coordinators up and coming. Now, according to reports that are coming out of Philly, Declan Doyle impressed absolutely massively in the interview process, and it was even thought that he was leading the way to become the next offensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles. This lad, he's 30 years old. I mean, that is quite incredible that he's 30 years old. He's the offensive coordinator. Like I said, he was the Titans coach for Denver Broncos. He was also the offensive assistant in New Orleans. Like I said, he has learned very much from Sean Payton. He is now learning from Ben Johnson. And, that learning curve that he's taking is really making him an attractive option to a number of teams. I think will continue to make Declan Doyle a very attractive option to a number of teams. Now, people may ask, why did he turn down Philadelphia? What is the issue with Philadelphia? These are at the moment still reigning Super Bowl champions for now, until the Seahawks or the Patriots win it. I don't know who I want to win that. Probably the Seahawks. I hate the Patriots. Onto one of those when the Philadelphia Eagles are still the reigning Super Bowl champions. So why would he not want to go to Philadelphia? Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, Devonta Smith. There is a wealth of talent in Philly, and if he gets obviously the play calling duties, which it looked like he was going to, why would he not want to go there? Well, it's thought that there could be a sort of downturn in Philadelphia over the next sort of 12 months to 2 years. Jalen Hurts is kind of restricted as a passer. He's not the most talented of passers. He certainly hasn't got the arm that Caleb has. I'm not saying for a minute that Caleb is in the same class as Jalen Hurts yet, but Caleb has a better arm than Jalen Hurts. AJ Brown, obviously there is a lot of disquiet around him at the moment in Philadelphia. Also, there's a kind of sort of a toxic atmosphere in that Philadelphia locker room, apparently as well, sort of fostered a little bit by Nick Sirianni. There is a kind of feeling that Sirianni is not the most popular amongst his coaches, he's not the most popular amongst his players currently. Now, if Doyle was to go into that atmosphere and flounder in his first few games, he could find himself easily being sacked and then his career being sort of stymied and set back. It's felt that, the way that he talked and the way that he impressed in that interview that he gave to the Philadelphia Eagles, that he very much could be a future head coaching candidate. People talk about obviously the offensive coordinators in Philadelphia who've gone on with varying degrees of success to be offensive coordinators, Shane Steichen, Kellen Moore, etc., etc. But there's no reason to think that, that if Declan Doyle continues to work in Chicago and continues to impress in Chicago, that he can't go on to have had head coaching interviews for the work that he does with the Bears. And certainly, learning from Ben Johnson and having staff around him as he does at this moment in time. Yes, Bieniemy's gone, but, at the moment, Antoine Randall is still there. JT Barrett is still there. Press Taylor is still there. He's learning from these guys, and he's also learning from Ben Johnson. So it is really a process that we're going through, that Declan Doyle could be a future head coaching candidate because of the work that he is doing in Chicago. And he may see now remaining in Chicago, working alongside Ben Johnson, is actually better for his career development and better for his career trajectory. In terms of the fact as well, the Bears are a franchise, and I'm not saying the Eagles are not going to be successful next season, but the Bears on the whole are a franchise on the upward trajectory. Yes, the Bears have got a lot of difficult decisions to take in this offseason. Of course we have. In terms of the salary cap being $4 million over at this moment in time, what happens with all those free agents? How do we address the safety issue? Can we improve the pass rush? What happens with DJ Moore? There's lots of things there, but Declan may feel that in Chicago he has more chance of progressing and more chance of being a future head coaching candidate rather than making that sideways move into being an offensive coordinator elsewhere. Guys, I'd love to know your thoughts on this story and on how the Bears have managed to hopefully keep hold of one of their top coaches going into next season. Guys, please obviously make sure you like, comment, share and subscribe. Keep subscribing, guys, to keep out checking out the content. We've got lots and lots of things to bring you. We've got draft work, looking at draft prospects, looking at all those positions we need to address. The draft, I think, will be an area the Bears will use this year with the lack of money, meaning that obviously there are not a lot of free agents I don't think will be signed this off-season. Lots of work around that, lots of work around our free agents as well, lots of work around roster building, about what Ryan Poles is going to do. Best way to make sure you never miss out is to subscribe to the channel and ring that bell. Thank you for watching the Bears Huddle podcast, guys. If you enjoyed it, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Bear down.